That's why the safety there is. You have to walk, you have to come out and you say it's slow. It's slick as snot. I gave that up first turn. I gave it up when I turned 50.
So I don't know.
That was a few weeks ago.
A couple years ago.
Yeah, like 26 of them.
You and I were more
Pretty good.
I think so. I like and obviously, I don't talk about the development, but I was we were building Kevin and all that.
Okay, I'll go ahead and bring us to order. Yes. 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 Motion to approve the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda. Second? Yes. 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 Okay, public forum. We have somebody signed up, Jeff Topolovich, right?
It's block party time.
Wow.
Doing a little late this year, but request to close down Walnut Street between State and Broadway on October 25th, which is also trick or treating night. We plan to set up around noon, take down, we'll just say midnight. Nobody's gonna last that long, but that way the kiddos are okay. We're doing a little costume party, so just request for a close night that I ran again.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve that request. Second?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right. Anything else public forum?
Okay, so second thing on here for parking, this is kind of the damn thing, but we have an extra telephone pole that we can throw behind the baseball field. People training on the grass, whatever reason, parking on the soccer field on the other side of the sidewalk. Have you seen that?
I have not.
I have not.
So where are they going through at?
Just right at the baseball field, yeah, so they instead of walking on the sidewalk, they're driving down there and then driving around the baseball field.
Okay.
Yeah, just want to throw something over there, 'cause that's on the thing.
Yeah, we can do that. See, Kirk, we thought we were doing good things, filling all that area. No, just cut the driveway.
You guys get a telephone pole, there's like 20 in the other shop. It's insurance.
I'd like to eventually get something out of that telephone pole.
Yeah, the venture.
Figure, as they're trying to put a telephone pole, we're pretty good.
All right, go ahead.
I'm Russell. I live right outside of Granger. I volunteer on the fire department. I want to bring to the mayor and the council's attention that I started a full-time tree company. We love Granger and everything it's doing and the growth we have here. I just want to let you guys know that I'm an active arborist and there's some trees in the park that need to be removed. They're dead ash trees. There's some sick trees that need to be evaluated. Talking to some people in the city, there's also some trees with some wires around them that need to be looked at. So if that's a service I can provide for the city, I would love to do that and get some quotes on that and obviously be fair on that as well. So I want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I'll talk to you because I was putting together some quotes for Centennial Park. Kind of do some things, clean some things up in the trees. Touch base if you're happy, touch base with me. I'll talk to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Public forum? All right, next agenda item, Kelly Costello. Kelly, are you here? Okay, Christie, do you have communications on this item? It looks like there was a garden hose left on.
Last week, reimbursed for sewer.
Yeah, we have it.
So what are the conditions? What happened? Like how long was it on?
I don't know any of that, here to the message. We will be able to hear it.
You know how much it is for? Yeah, it probably is.
Yes, sorry.
Each set. Okay, thank you.
Looks like the average is 65, 45 for sewer.
And this time it was 102. Like $37 if the council so inclined. Now, generally, we will waive these if it wasn't the homeowner that did it. If it was the homeowner that did it, generally, the council, you guys have to waive it. Because they're paying for the water usage.
Sometimes the kids.
Yeah, a couple times kids left them on, or there was a leak.
There was a leak.
Yeah, that they didn't know about, or something like that. So it's kind of up to you guys what you want to
You said it was less than $40.
do. Yes.
102 minus 65.
So they pay for water, not the sewer, right?
They'd still pay the water charge. The water charge was 30 over one, so.
Really complicated. My kids last about, we had a $400 water bill there 2 months ago, and I didn't complain, it was just part having kids or whatever, so.
You might have gotten it.
I think it's $55 is what the average of 2 previous months. The difference.
So we'll take a motion. And if it gets seconded, it passes, we'll waive it, and if not, we won't. One last chance. Okay, yeah, doesn't sound like we'll do anything unless there's more information that comes to light there. All right, city engineer report.
Was suggesting I keep it under the hour.
Here's our, please.
Then I see the whole first page of the agenda.
You got this. You got this.
First thing we got is the water tower and the water booster station. The tower is getting ready, they're gonna be starting painting that again. It'll be painted this fall. We're gonna get about another 5 or 6 weeks before we get into the time of the year when it gets kind of iffy. So they're still on schedule to get the tower in service this fall. Booster station, we're actually running on the new pumps. They have a few things yet coming up on that. So that project is progressing. We should be closing both of those out toward the end of the year. We have 2 action items tonight. The first from the BNK. The first is partial payment estimate for the water tower. We're going to be $3,505. Again, it's just progressing on the work over the last month. Kind of a little bit of a slowdown this past month, waiting for things to really show up. But I review the estimate. We recommend the council approve it today.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve partial payment, estimate number 8 for the water tower project, the amount of $83,505 to Wire Line Incorporated.
Second.
Yes.
Track,
Yes.
Purple.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
The next item is partial payment estimate 6 for Price Electric booster station. The amount of $65,840 and 64 cents, 618-4164. Again, in the past month, they progressed, they got everything online now, we're running on the new pumps, or new controls, I should say, no pumps, but all the new controls are out of the ground. And we got rid of all the old rusty bucket electrical stuff that's been buried below ground for the last 30 years. So, this would be in accordance with the contract. They've got about 10% of it left to go on the project, and some of that will occur over the next month or so as the water tower sort of comes online. So, review it, would recommend approval of partial payment estimate number 6.
Just remind me quick, when we open the water towers on, when is the water tower?
Yes, it's going to be online around late October, early November.
So it's small, yeah, okay.
There will be, with the tower, the logos we're looking at is the Granger logo that
that we discussed several months ago, but it'll be on the west and the east. The 100,000 tower is on the north and the south now. So we talked to the company, probably will, unless there's someone wants to change it, we're gonna put that on the east and the west.
Make a motion to approve partial payment estimate number 6 for the water booster station project in the amount of $65,840.64 for price selected.
Son,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Bermal,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Any other water tower booster station project questions before we move on to the next one? All right, Sycamore Street.
Several things on Sycamore Street, weather conditions over the past month have improved as the rain started to turn itself off. They've gotten all the utility conflicts now are pretty much resolved. We're still waiting for the American Energy Company to move the poles on the east side, but all the lumen cables and all that stuff is now out of the way. During the past month, they were able to get much of the subgrade front of the north end done. They got slowed down because they had to wait for lumen to finally get in there. And fluid cable at the far north storm sewer crossing up at the north edge where the middle school property is. They worked on the area to the south, pretty much all the storm sewer is in. Sternquist should be moving in to start the paving here in the next week or so. They're gonna, from a schedule perspective, they were originally going to start at the north and kind of work south in 2 major stages, and down the roundabout and south of the roundabout. But because they got delayed on the north end by the phone company not getting their stuff out, they're now at the point where they're going to have all the subgrade ready to go at once. So once they get in, I'm going to guess it'll be the 3rd, maybe the 4th week of this month. There'll be 3 major concrete pours. They're going to pave all of the main line, sort of consecutive, and there'll be 3 pieces that'll be left out of the main line, which is the intersection of Lowell, the intersection of White Oak, and the roundabout. The 2 intersections have to be left out because we got to keep traffic going across those. The roundabout is all unique and poor. They can't go through there with the paving machine very well. So once they get the main line paved, they'll come back and they've got 4 hand pours on each of the 2 intersections and 6 or 7 on the roundabout. And so each time they do a hand pour, they got to cure it before they can move things around. So what you'll see is them kind of moving around between the 3 locations so they can keep traffic on it. And so it's going to be a little slow. It'll take much of probably an early piece of the month of October. Not because they couldn't pave it in a week, it's just that we can't pave it all at once to keep everybody off. So we've got to keep traffic across, stage it across both of the intersections. So that just, it's a necessity, but you'll see, they'll say, oh, we paved it, where are they at? Because they're going to let it cure, and then they'll still be going back and forth. So just during the month of October, we'll see a lot of little topping around and things.
The only thing I would say with that is we've got to shore up our signage when that happens. Because people are not paying attention to the road closure at all. I mean, they're on the gravel, they're on the down, and it doesn't matter if it's wet or whatever, they're gonna drive on it if it's there. So we gotta make sure those road closed things are closed.
Yeah, and we had an ongoing issue with even with barricades up, people perceive I can drive on it.
Yeah, they think they can move them. I've seen people just out there moving.
It's my street, I can move barricades, so. We had that issue, we had some issues with property owners pulling out survey markers, throwing them out on the street, delivering them right away because they think that's very hard. So we got some ongoing issues in there, but I've gotten through it. So once, the critical time is the 3 or 4 days after the concrete pour. Particularly the first 12 to 14 hours before it sets, because somebody decides to drive on it. Contractors are not responsible for so they move the barricades around, so, and drive them up the slab, so.
We may have to,
Do you have any spare deer cams, Leonard and Kirk, that we can sell to the people?
we may have to park we may have to take some vehicles out and park. Just make sure they don't drive.
Yeah, the contractor may do that as well, that's his best. So, The project is, you know, if you asked me a month ago, I thought it was kind of, we were getting iffy whether we were gonna get it done. Assuming the weather is reasonable over the next 60 days, we should get it done. A couple other things, Mid-America's supposed to be in as early as next week to move the poles on the east side. Get that finally out of the way, so we can kind of dodge around that for most of the summer. My guess is sometime in October, maybe in early November, you know, when they get a lot of the imports done, we'll switch over to the trail. Mid-America gets their poles out of the way, which they should, because we have them, I think we're on track to get that out of the way. There should be a trail forward this fall, all the way from Lowell to the north end. From a priority perspective, the trail is the lowest priority. So we want to make sure we have the street, everything open. We don't really need the trail till the middle school opens. And so if something doesn't get done this year, we're going to say that's the trail. But my guess is the way we are right now, the weather stays as it has been, reasonably dry. We should be okay. And just as we get into the fall months, we kind of have one good thing, one bad thing working for us. Statistically, fall, September, October, and November are the 3 warm months of the year that have the least amount of precipitation. So typically we're drier in the fall. The problem is as we get later into the fall, temperatures cool and it doesn't dry as quickly. So when we do get a rain, it doesn't affect the contractor for a long period of time. But I think where we are right now, the contractor is feeling a lot better about getting it done. So we do have a number of action items tonight on that. The first is partial payment estimate number 4. A lot of this is storm sewer and subgrade preparation work. The estimate is in the amount of $413,559.84, or 13559.84. So I reviewed the estimate, the recommended council approved paying partial payment estimate number 4.
Good. Action for partial payment estimate number 4, Sycamore Street improvement project, in the amount of $413,559.84. And List Construction Incorporated. Yes.
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 Just a little bit of an update before we get into a couple of change orders where we are on it. When we put the project together, in the budget and the financing, we had $100,000 set aside for contingencies or changes during construction, which is about this 3% level or so that is typical for a street project. Right now, today, we're actually below the original contract price. So we have all of that contingency plus a little bit more to go. We're probably now pretty much to the point where most all of the issues have been identified. So we're working underground and things like that, where we have the issues that we have to resolve. That can cost money. So there's 2 items tonight that are on the agenda. And there's one more, and it won't necessarily come back, it may come back as a change order, but it won't be a significant amount, it might be a structure or 2. If you remember, we moved the storm sewer from where we were crossing over to the west side of time into the storm sewer. We put the storm sewer on the east side, so we didn't need to get into the yards on the west side. There's a storm sewer on the west side. It's actually an easement of private property. There's a couple of properties that one in particular has a fence off. So just rather than messing with that, we moved the storm sewer over to the east side of the street. What that did is that meant the sidewalk on the west side could stay open because of the original design. The sidewalk between White Oak down to Lowell couldn't stay open because that's where the storm sewer was going to go. So right now, there'll be a change order probably next month for a little bit of the adjustment because we had to change the structure or 2 of the storm sewer over. Other than that, that's really, I think, what we need to know what's outstanding. We have 2 change orders tonight. One of them is number 4, and it's 2 items. One is the city, Kirk asked that the contractor put 2 additional signs up that basically is one on Sycamore going north that says, here's how you get to Maple Birch, and wall west of Sycamore for you to be able to say, here's how you get to Maple Birch. The other is Kirk Acid. They put a fence up along the east side of the sidewalk so that they could use the sidewalk on the west side of the street. The reason there wasn't a fence in there originally, as I mentioned, is the storm sewer was going to go over there and the sidewalk couldn't stay open. So by moving it over, we are going to leave the sidewalk open. But the sense is that people didn't want to have people walking along the sidewalk with open construction. They wanted to separate it. Is it the lowest price possible? Probably not. I think what you're seeing in here is some of a little bit of the contractor's frustration with what's going on. For example, they've had to resurvey and restake that piece south of White Oak 6 different times because property owners have pulled out survey markers. And they don't charge us for that, but we've had.
No, they are.
What?
They are.
They're not directly.
No, they are. Because
Yeah.
2 signs and a snow fence for 46.
Yeah, let's talk about the survey.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm saying they actually are.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we could go back and say, okay, turn this down, and then they'll just come back and ask. So, you know, is it the best number in the world? No. I think in all of the stuff that's going on out there south of White Oak, you know, it's your decision what you want to do with it. But if you turn it down, you're going to see it come back again, one way or another. So, again, I think the contractor, with all the stuff that's going on, hasn't really been to the trough very many times, as bad as I thought he would. So it's your decision what you want to do. These are both city initiated things, so I mean, at some point we're going to end up having to pay the contractor something for it. So.
I'm not paying something. That seems crazy to me when I see what it is. But you're in this world, I mean, what's a reasonable price for what they did?
Well, the signage was like $1,100. I don't have any problem with the signage. That leaves $3,500 for putting up a snow fence. I think that's kind of
Yeah, that's
excessive.
Putting it up, maintaining it, taking it down.
So T-posts are $7 a foot. Orange fence is $1.25.
It's a nice one.
You got 300, basically, they gouged us probably $1,500.
Yep, you say.
So,
I mean, it's up to you guys.
Okay, I mean, we're still under budget, and you think that they've done other things solid for us, then I guess it's not that big a deal, but it's like, good.
Yeah, I mean,
So we better not have another one come back.
Right.
I mean, it's,
we can take $1,500 off and they can easily find $1,500 of stuff that they're not asking for. So it's one of those things that in construction, there's give and take out there. If this were $50,000, I'd probably go to the man a little harder. Sure. You know, they've had a lot of issues out there, you know, some of them beyond our control, but I mean, they've been fighting particularly the utilities out there, which, you know, they can't ask for extra, but nonetheless, it costs them money. So, I guess my thought is it's not worth having too big of a fight over, but.
He's heard the frustration.
Okay, good.
yeah.
Good. And you recommend it?
I would, yes.
Can we keep our T-posts?
What?
Can we keep our posts so we can do our own next time?
No kidding.
Yeah, we should be able to keep them all. It's a snow fence.
You got
We
to
put right over here.
I don't think you have a
A month or
problem.
two.
I mean, I don't think you'll have a problem.
Well, they can remove it and deliver it to Public Works.
Okay, hey, just make that part of the motion.
There we go.
Give it up.
I'll say that.
I don't think you'll have an issue with that.
Take a motion to approve change order 4 to add 2 directional signs to facilitate motorists unfamiliar with the area to access Maple Street and Birch Street, and to install a fence along the east side of the sidewalk from the east side of Sycamore Street between Loud and White Oak for a total cost increase of $4,620, with the understanding that the contractor, upon removal of the fence and T-posts, delivers them to our Public Works Department.
Second.
Yes.
Brenda?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Stein?
Yes.
There we go.
You got part of your 1,500.
Just the principle of it all.
Correct.
The next item is, this is on the east side of Sycamore between Oxford Creek Culvert and White Oak. If you're familiar with the area, it's adjacent to the property owner that has the black fence out in the driveway line. In that area, we're building the trail. The trail has to go over the top of the culvert. And just immediately north of the culvert, the ground slopes down toward the culvert. We have to keep the trail up at the ground. The original design contemplated that they would grade that out, but they would go 20-some feet into those people's yards. It really kind of messes up their yard. It also is a very difficult area to maintain. So what Kirk and I talked to the contractor about is would we all be better off in the long run, putting a retaining wall so that we're not into the private property and we're all staying within the right of way. And so that's the proposal. If you can imagine at White Oak, the sidewalk, the trail has to match the ramp, so there's no wall there. And as you go south, where the ground starts to fall off moving south toward Oxford Creek, that wall will get as high as about 4.5 feet. So it goes essentially from 0 to 4.5 feet. Because the ground is falling off to the south and the trail has to be level. And so we think the contractor agrees. He's gotten proposals. He got an original proposal from Country Landscapes. He got a proposal from Absolute. Couldn't give him a complete proposal. We only gave him a partial proposal. Then based on the cost, he went back to Country Landscapes again and asked them for a different number. So I think Kurt has given you the two proposals. They're both by essentially for Country Landscapes. One of them is using a smaller block wall. And with a smaller block wall, you can do it at 4.5 feet. That's not a big issue. But the block aren't large enough that you can mount the fence on the top of the wall. So the fence will be mounted right to the west of the wall. And there'll be a gravel strip underneath the fence to keep the weeds from growing there. So you can't go under the fence. You can't go around on the other side. There'll be a black chain link fence on the top of it to match what the property owner is. The property owner is thinking about whether they want to have their fence on their side of the wall or if we just tie it in and there's only one fence that would be, because it's designed to keep animals in. And so we could do that, just tie it in essentially. Their own fence, what we're going to end up with is up at the north end, we're going to have two fences that are about 2 to 3 feet apart. And then they'll at the same elevation, and as you go south, they'll be offset. So the two proposals that we have are basically the same, accomplish the purpose. The one proposal is large block, there's a larger block wall, where you can actually mount the fence on the top of the wall. Same fence material. So what we're really talking about is the size of the block and where the fence is going to be mounted. The one proposal, the first proposal that we had from them was $70,695, and that was the larger block wall with the fence on top. The contractor tried to get other proposals and really had not much luck. We went to ask that they gave him a nice partial proposal with deal with part of the fence issue. So we went back to Country Landscape, and Country Landscape said we can go back and use the smaller block and mount the fence behind it, which is essentially what Absolute was proposing to do. The cost for that would be $44,560. So it's the same wall. The real question is, I think the wall is a good idea, because I think otherwise we're going to have a long-term issue between the city and the property owner maintaining it. I think one of the primary issues is what size of the wall do you want? Big or little. You can fund both of them within the contingency. The question really is for style difference. If you want to pay the additional $26,000.
Yes, for those who are wanting the numbers, 44,560 versus 70,695.
That doesn't match.
Yeah, I'm not seeing those numbers.
You got 64.9 on bid one, and then 39.6 on bid two.
45,560 is on the change order.
Yeah, you've got,
Oh, you've got to add in Sturquist's.
yeah. Stern Quest has
Straight push letterhead.
Stern Quest has 10% on
Okay, yep, makes sense.
So it's a $26,000 difference.
Yeah. It's 44,560 versus 79,695.
So would this come out of that 100,000
That's right.
contingency that we got?
So the difference is you can have a smaller block, and then on that block, you can't put the fence on it, so you put the fence in a gravel area between the block and the sidewalk. Or you go with a bigger block, you mount the fence right on top of it. Now keep in mind, we're going from 4.5 feet down to virtually nothing.
To nothing, yeah.
Within that block, from the culvert area down to at the corner of White Oak.
And how many feet is that? It's like 154.
Roughly 150, yeah.
So is it worth it?
We can't do a port wall.
What?
We can't do a port wall.
Port wall? No, this would be block. Port wall, they price it was more. Yeah. By the time they got the fence and everything in it, it turned out to be more.
So we got one bid, right, essentially.
So
You know, it's your call. I mean, my experience is that no matter what wall you have, you're gonna get a little bit of movement in the wall over time. And sometimes with the fence mounted on the block, the fence has a tendency to kind of wiggle around a little bit because it's just sitting on the block as opposed to the fence behind it where you can put the posts in the ground, concrete and everything. So it's your call. They won't work just fine.
Well, I don't have any images, I'm not a landscape architect, so make a recommendation, otherwise I'm not inclined to spend an extra 25 grand.
That's what I'm kind of where I'm at, is that.
I don't, you ask me, I don't think it's worth
Perfect.
$26,000.
Make sure I'm not missing something.
Yeah.
the only thing to challenge is, do you think that the smaller block within a specified, a 10, 15, 20 year time frame is the larger block most likely will never move.
Right.
Will the smaller block over time potentially move? I mean, there's a lot around the metro that haven't. There are some, not that incorrect, that have. This isn't that large, going from 4.5 feet down to nothing. I don't know in this case that it's worth spending extra.
Yes, the other thing too is that a lot of the block walls that moved are really just block that's been laid out. Whereas included in this is an engineering design based on soils so that they make sure that it's anchored correctly. So they're actually including some additional effort in there to make sure that, in fact, this wall does stay there because it does affect the trail. So there is a component of this, that this is an engineered wall, not just a block layers wall.
Is there any reason to get additional bids?
Contractors tried to get
They did.
everybody they could, yeah.
I did talk to them later today, but I asked them about if that was reasonable, and that's all it does is landscapes, so it's reasonable. He doesn't even do
I mean, when we expressed concern to the contractor about the $70,000 one, he went out and tried to look around and see what he could do. Actually went back to Country Landscapes with another proposal and said, can you beat it?
Yeah.
And so I think he's done a good faith effort in trying to get it down, which he didn't have to do.
If you're open to it, I can get you another bid.
He'll have to go through the contractor, it has to be done quickly, so.
If we're entertaining questions, I have one. Bob, who's gonna maintain that trail in the winter and how heavy will the equipment be to clear the snow on the trail?
We have equipment to do that.
And how will that affect the blocking of the trail?
It didn't affect it at all, it's designed for that.
They're both okay in that scenario?
Yeah.
I'm fine with the lesser option.
Yeah, we just wanted to bring it to you. We're okay with the smaller block. Just wanted to put it in front of you so everyone knows.
And understand that by running it through the contractor, it is covered by the 4-year maintenance bond on it too. So if something goes wrong in the first 4 years, the contractor is responsible to repair it. And if it's gonna start moving, immediately it'll move in the first 4 years. Now, that's not to say it'll move 2 years from now, but if it's built wrong, you'll see it in the first 4 years.
Yes, we need a motion. All right.
If I find it here, yeah, I'll do it.
23 to add retaining wall at the southeast corner of Sycamore Street and White Oak Lane with option B, the lesser of two,
For $4,560.
for $44,560.
Second.
Travis,
Yes.
Seth,
Yes.
Bermal,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to look at my pace, or I'm gonna be on my 1 hour clock.
We know.
The next item we have, what we're doing is we're setting a date for the meeting on the proposition selling $2.5 million of what's essentially interim financing for the Sycamore Street project. So we're having a special meeting on the 24th. And the way we're financing the project is because we have the Sycamore Street project, and we also have the unknown that's going to happen down in the southeast area with the Knowles and Beaver Creek project. Based on discussions with Travis Squires, the plan is to do a short-term financing until we know exactly what we need to sell for long-term financing. The other sense is that right now, maybe it's not the time to sell long-term debt if the Fed actually does cut interest rates. So we're probably better off doing interim financing. So what you're doing here is essentially setting the date so we can issue $2.5 million of the interim financing for the Sycamore Street project. And then this will get eventually rolled into a long-term financing date, 18 months from now, I think is what Travis is sort of talking about.
Yeah, we've actually already, a year plus ago, had hearings on some different parts of what's getting rolled into this, but especially particularly this one. But they thought for auditor reasons to have one hearing that says 2.5 is the amount.
Because
So
otherwise
we pieced together about 4 different hearings where we've approved this, but never rolled it all together because it wasn't all done.
Yeah.
So this makes it more straightforward for auditor purposes than this transaction. This is our authority on the 24th to sell those notes.
So what you need tonight is just basically, you need action on resolution 28 to fix the date.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-28, fixing date for the meeting on the proposition to authorize a loan agreement and the issuance of notes to evidence the obligations of the city thereunder.
Seth,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Bermal,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Moving on to basically to finish the park grading project. The first action we have, again, is similar to what we just did. We're going to set a meeting date for the 24th for the issuance of $950,000 of general obligation urban renewal capital loan notes. Again, apply interim financing to fund the purchase of the park. So what we're doing here is just setting the date for the meeting on the special meeting on the 24th. So we talked about getting the financing wrapped up to get that property all taken care of. This is what we're doing again, we're doing interim financing for the renewal interim financing.
Was that 6 or 7?
Beautiful.
7 p.m. on the 24th.
7
At 7 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Hell, result gets paid on October 1st. If something falls through here, then we'll go to the next one.
You guys good?
Yep.
Motion on resolution 2025-29, fixing date for a meeting on the proposition to authorize a loan agreement and the issuance of notes to evidence the obligations of the city thereunder. Yes.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
With respect to the grading package, what we're doing is we're using what's called competitive quotations, which under Iowa law for vertical infrastructure cost estimate of not more than $206,000. We can use a procedure that's similar to, but simpler than a sealed bid. So we don't have a public hearing, we don't have a lot of the procedure involved at all that we have in the bid. But we have to invite contractors, we have to invite a minimum of 2, generally for, and we have time certain, we have to get the quotations back. So right now, the quotations are going to come back on the 23rd, the day before your special meeting, and then they will come back on the meeting on the 24th. So the agenda items of the meeting on the 24th would be to add on the competitive quotations. We already do. So that's out, we got that out. And so the question I think tonight is, do we want to make any changes in the scope of the project, how we approach it? We need to do that so we can get an addendum out to the quotation documents.
Is this the one we talked about last month, just for the great partial grading of the park?
Yeah, this right now what it does is it includes sort of the grading of the westerly part of the park. It doesn't include the, as I understand it, I'm sort of outside looking in on this project. Because CEC actually worked on it, not me, but they didn't know how to get it from drawing to getting quotes, so I sort of got drug in to be the intermediary. But there's been discussion about whether you want to do additional work, like some of the stripping or something on the eastern part of it, and whether you want to include that in as an alternate or base part of the project. So if you want to do some additional work out there, we need to decide that because we're only 13 days out from where we are on the receiving points.
Did this include removing some of that dirt, bringing it to other locations? Was that the same, is that the same scope? Okay.
And somebody kind of quickly get up my pay rate on the particulars of the project. So if you want to make any changes,
Yeah, we just need to know if we need to make any amendments. We've sent this out to Master Builders of Iowa, and the Master Builders pushes it out to pretty much everyone to see it. We just want to make sure after talking with Ben and Bob and Tony, that we got out the bid information. So if we want to add any black dirt removal or compiling on the east side, we need to get that information to get that pushed out.
Well, I guess remind me where our conversation was last month, because I don't know that we talked with that level of detail that we decided what was in the bid necessarily.
Yeah, we did.
We took your recommendation, so I just need a little guidance here.
So right now, you've got 2/3 of the property roughly that is getting graded to what's been designed. That last third is where all the extra dirt is. In order to get access to that extra dirt, you would need to remove the topsoil and stockpile it. Then you have it opened up for selling to contractors, or if, say, we were to do something with that in a lot, it's accessible. So I guess the idea behind making an alternate of stripping additional soils would be, say bids come in less, and you can get some economy of scale possibly, to just go ahead and strip that, but we're not tied to it, but it is an option.
Do we have a pipeline issue up there or something?
There's not more.
They removed, one pipeline's been removed, the other one's there, but it's in the far northeast corner.
the really troublesome one is gone.
Yeah.
The other one that cuts down the is gone. So if you want to add something, because the estimate of cost, you authorize up to $200,000, as I understand it. $206,000 is my threshold for competitive quotes. So if you want to add something, my suggestion is we add it as a, what they call a determinative alternative, as opposed to a non-determinative alternative. But right now, there's a couple of alternates in there for things we might do, but they don't really deal with stripping. A determinative alternative plays into the awarded contract. So if we, let's say we add stripping and we make it a determinative alternative, is that then the council would come back and say, we're going to first decide whether we want to include the alternative or not include the alternative. And once you make that decision, then you determine who the low bidder is for whatever scope of the project you decide. So if you get your numbers back and they're not favorable and you say, I can't afford it, then you simply pick the base scope. Conversely, if the numbers come in favorably and you can afford the additional work within the threshold which you've authorized and what the code of Iowa allows, then you can say, I want to go with the bigger scope of the project. And once you decide that scope of the project, then you look at the numbers and determine who the low bidder is based on the scope of the project. a non-determinative alternative, you look at the base bid only and decide who the low bidder is, and then you either, later, then you can decide whether you want to need or not use any of the alternatives, but the alternatives do not play into the award contract. So on a bigger alternate, we kind of have the goal of maybe wanting to do it. I always think it's better to use a determinative alternative as opposed to little things. I'm more in favor of non-determinative alternatives. So if you want to add it, I would suggest that maybe done in the context of a determinative alternative. Did I say how many times I can do that?
Sounds like a rock band.
I like options.
Yeah.
It sounds like we have options.
I mean, there's no downside to bidding worse stuff.
Okay.
Is there?
It's just separate, saying this much, just the cost, just the cost. If you wanna go with A and not B, you can. That's a nice option.
Yeah, that's fine. All of it was what we should have done. That basically says, let the craft it up, it basically says, it's like 7,500 yards of topsoil stripping, and we'll have to decide exactly how we're gonna word it. We'll issue an addendum, and then we'll have to change the bid proposal. Because right now, what we're doing is we're bidding it on two schedules. We're bidding it for a fall completion, and I'm bidding it for a spring completion, and you get to decide. So, for example, if the low number is the fall, you're gonna take that. But if the low number is the spring, and somebody has a slightly higher number in the fall, the way it's structured is you can say, it's important to get it done this fall. I'm willing to pay this amount of more to get it done in the fall. So if we add a determinative alternative, we're gonna end up with four things. We first we decide what we're gonna do, then we're gonna decide when it's gonna get done, and then we'll look and see who gets the project. Now, that sounds like voodoo, but yeah.
Is it too much to put in there, or is that okay? Is it too much to put in there?
If you remember that when you did the water tower, you get 6 of them. So we're not pushing the envelope. 6 is about as far as I want to go. So what I'm understanding is we're going to issue an addendum to add the topsoil stripping as a determinative alternative. Don't really need council action, because council doesn't really take any action on the bid quotations anyway. Oak Street patches, that's yours, Kirk. I don't know anything about it other than.
Yes, we have. We went out, there was some damage done on Oak Street, just some typical construction, heavy construction coming in and out of the saw cuts heading in the fairway. Did a little bit of damage once the curb was removed. There was some settling and cracking on some of the panels, so there were 5 panels that were damaged that we requested the Ball and Company on behalf of Fairway repair. While looking at Oak Street, knowing that the new store was going to be opening up in the middle of December, Aaron and I with Public Works decided that there were 5 panels that were ours that Ball Company and subcontractors hadn't disturbed or destroyed, that perhaps we should get bids on to replace so that the street is all pretty clean for when Fairway opens. So we told Ball Company they needed to replace theirs. We then talked to their construction company, and then we also got one other bid. We got a bid from Absolute Group. Absolute Group was lower than Georgeson, which was doing the construction for Fairway and for Ball Company. Ball Company then went out to get bids, found out that our bid was lower than what their contractor could do, and asked us to supply the bid. We didn't supply the bid. Then we got a call from Fairway asking if we would perhaps do the entire project, and then they would pay us back. 2 things occurred. We found out after the fact that there are other contractors out there that may bid lower. So we had we agreed to have Absolute Group replace our 5 panels. We haven't engaged them on Fairway's 5 panels. What the council needs to decide tonight, in light of the information that has come forward, does the council want to engage and open this back up for bids for all 10 panels? Or what's your pleasure on that? If that makes,
Do we have any cost comparisons or what might differences be?
there could be as much as a $14,000 savings potential. So we got two bids. So the second thing I would like to ask after we make this decision is have the council give guidance that when we're conducting daily operations that don't require formal bidding, give us the council's guidance so we have full transparency of what we're doing administratively on a daily basis. The mayor gave some directive this afternoon saying if it's up to this amount, let's get 3 bids. If it's up to this amount, let's get, because we did, we went out and got 2 competitive bids. One's on site and was the highest, and then one's in town and was significantly lower. So we accepted that. After the fact, we find out that there are others in the metro who would perhaps do it even lower. So we just want guidance that we're doing our due diligence, that we're meeting the council's expectations. I don't want to get carried away with going out and do a formal process and get 10 bids. But there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, the minimum is 3, and let's go get those.
Like I said earlier, I'm the one that brought it to the attention. It seemed high to me. The only reason I found out was because we're doing the fairway. They mentioned something to me and told me the price. It seemed high. I said something, asked a couple questions, and then got numbers back that were significantly lower. So I brought it to attention. 95% of the time, I don't think this would be an issue. However, you've got things going on with the Fairway project, local contractors, errors on the Fairway project from another contractor. That little thruple is kind of all mad at each other. So I don't know really what went on, but it's well above market value. I guess if it was me, I would say we need to send it back out, but.
You would do what? Sorry.
Send it back out.
Yeah.
What does that do to if we? I understand we need to clarify the process, so we can do that. I agree that'd be helpful probably for you guys too. But I would say on that note, everything does need to come here clearly, but that's why you guys are there. But because we said yes, at least partially to absolute right now, right?
I told Larry to make sure to get it scheduled so that we were on the schedule, so that we weren't doing it after Fairway Hill.
Yeah, like
That doesn't mean we can't. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
relationally and just supporting people in our community and those types of things. But we're not contractually obligated to that.
He may have signed he signed the informal document they gave us.
Okay.
On our piece, not the entire 10 piece.
So both of these bids well above market price?
One was 18,000 and the other one was 19,000. So we're at an $18,000 price to replace our 5 panels in the street.
Because I want to know the total price for the 10 panels, what we're talking about. So I'm comparing apples to apples. I appreciate absolutely, but if they propose something that's 40% higher than market, I'm not inclined to want to follow through with a bid that's not competitive in the market and fair to our taxpayers. I don't want to waste $14,000 of taxpayer money just because they're local and we didn't know what market price was and we only got 2 bids. That's not.
Right, and correct. We have other informal numbers. I do want to say this, I'm a little uncomfortable going and getting a bid after 2 people bid and it's been made somewhat public. However, we do have numbers but
But it wasn't a sealed bid process originally.
No. So our portion of it was 18,705. Fairway's portion of it's 19,350. So then I received, someone brought in informal quotes from one company. One's at 26,000 and the other one's at 24,300.
Total.
For the whole project.
Yep.
So we're gonna add the 18,705 to 19,350, and that's the total.
what, 38,000 versus 24, 25?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a $14,000 difference.
Me too.
Yeah, we gotta do what's right by the taxpayers and people who put us.
So we can go out for bid and see where they come in.
That's a huge difference, yeah. And then just for.
I want to say it could be.
Yeah, because
I'm not, I don't want you to hold us to it that I'm gonna come back with a bid at 24,000. We may or may not.
Yeah, because it could be the time frame. We want it done before December,
Yeah.
so that's.
Yeah, that's fair. So we'll do that. We'll go back out for, and we probably have, council probably make a motion to do that. But after we do that motion, then I want a discussion on what do you expect from us in Public Works? Because we're doing this on a daily basis. We can for sure get 3. If you just say, look, everything we're doing, we, up to a certain amount, we want 3 bids, then we'll do that.
So first we need a motion to put the Oak Street patches up for bid. Okay, I'll make a motion that, put the Oak Street patch project up for bid.
Second.
Okay, Scott?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Yeah, and then kind of what I sent informally to Kirk earlier today was, look, if the project's gonna be 50,000 or less, let's get these 3 documented bids. If it's between 50 and 100, let's get at least 4 or 5. And then if it's over 100, let's do what we're doing with the dirt project, but Bob, tell me.
If it's horizontal infrastructure, which is anything like a street or road, you can only, if you get over 60,000, you gotta go to competitive bids.
Okay.
So
Under 60, you just.
Okay.
let's just 60
Above that,
Got it.
so
Good.
60,000 horizontal vertical infrastructure, that's your limit.
How many bids do you have to get, Bob? Is there a requirement of how many, when it's over 60, how many bids you have to get?
You have to go competitive quotations.
Yep.
Or you have to go to sealed bids, depending on the type of structure.
There's no amount, number of actual bids that you get. No, okay.
So you guys want 3, 4, 5, under 60?
I don't know if it's number of bids for me, I wanna know where I'm being forced. So, I'd like the bids to be bounced off Bob and have a perspective that what's being bid is fair market value for the work based upon demands in the market. I mean, I understand the cost can be cyclical, but it sounds like these 2 contractors potentially bid something 40% higher than market price. That's not okay. And if we get 3 bids that are higher than that, but there's 3 other contractors we can talk to that would bid at market, then we cherry pick the wrong contractor. So 3 bids doesn't satisfy me if we get the wrong 3 bids too. So we need to have some kind of, something to compare against to know what we should expect it to cost.
which is also cyclical.
I respect that position for sure. Also, at the same time, how do we keep it from slowing down? Right. You know what I mean? Like,
I did this analysis in a matter of 30 minutes. I mean, just pull up a bid tab. Look around, it's not,
sure.
I mean, I shouldn't say that, it's, because I used to do it all the time.
Right.
You're involved in it. But bid tabs will tell you everything going on.
What was that?
Bid tabs will give you an idea of where market values are.
I like.
And those are all public
I like
information, you can subscribe to any of them, and they all spit out. But quite honestly, in my opinion, Aaron should have those sent to him. And he just, if we're getting prices on stuff, hey, here's what Weston will pay for 1,200 square yards of concrete patch.
Does Aaron have access to that?
Everybody who lives in the United States does.
Then I don't know why we wouldn't do that, so that we at least have a benchmark to compare what we're expecting them to come back at. So we're not flying blind.
How about this? Would this be fair if we put together, if Aaron made a list of common things that we have to spend money on in the city, we can just update that annually and say, here's kind of where the market's trending. And you know that if you're in those parameters, you got a green light to do it, or higher. But if it's outside the parameters, guys, the market's trending up or it's trending down. Clearly, you're gonna make the decision of yes, it's trending down. If it goes up,
Trending flat,
then it's cheaper, right?
trending down is wherever the construction business.
And we just have to be responsible with taxpayer money. I mean, we're gonna talk about a salary increase for the new position here later, and that $14,000 difference covers that.
Yep.
Did we provide enough clarity?
Yep.
All right,
I'm back on the clock.
all right, Bob, start back up.
I remember on the interchange project, Snyder's team, I would anticipate we're gonna see some decision packages come to the city sometime probably before the October meeting, so, no action tonight, I think it's progressing along on it, and giving me some preliminary information that there. My guess is that they're gonna get done in December, we're gonna have to make some decisions in that October time. So just, we may have to have a special meeting or so, work session or something, depending on what the time is. It's just a heads up on that.
Anything on our left turn lane project? The left turn lane project, is it building extra lane, anything on that?
I don't have any update on it other than this part of the state, so. Every time I drive by, it looks like there's nothing going on, and then the next time there's something hard, pavement out there, so. This is sort of a tag on to the two other projects, so, you know, their big focus is at the street off of 415 going up to 106. So this is just sort of, this is a part of that same project.
I'm gonna ask a question you probably have no power over, but I'm gonna say it out loud anyway. Our exit ramp on 17, north from 141, they resurfaced 141 and led over into the exit lane. And it's like a third of the way over the exit lane, so it's really
I
uneven.
have no idea.
It's really annoying getting off that exit.
It's annoying for you as it is for me when I drive by.
Can we ask them to finish that exit lane or something? I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know, it doesn't appear they're done, so I don't know what they're gonna do with that, so.
I kind of assumed they would, but, yeah.
Just thought I'd ask.
Work out the way.
I know we don't have control over that, but.
We'll see if we can find out.
They're kind of done a lot of those other things, once you go up to 141, so I'm assuming that it's on the list, but it might be the last thing.
I'm just hoping that wait till next year when they do something more effective. Yes.
The last thing I have tonight is the southeast urban renewal plan, and there's actually a couple of things. The more innocuous one is resolution 30, which is basically setting the date for the consultation of public hearing to amend the renewal plan. As I talked last month, we're going to add some additional territory to the urban renewal plan. We're going to add some projects primarily related to the goals of the urban renewal. We're not necessarily saying we have to do them, but if they're not in the urban renewal plan, we can't do them. And so we have to have a public hearing. We also have to consult with the additional taxing bodies. If we're going to do anything with levy any costs for FY 26, 27, that certification date is November 30th. And so we need to get the amendment to the urban renewal plan approved. Whether we certify or don't certify anything, we need to get it approved. If we're going to certify by November 30th. So what we're doing here is just moving the process along, setting the date for the required consultation with taxing bodies and setting the hearing. So we're not committing to anything other than the renewal plan. As a part of this whole discussion, we're going to do something, this is anything that we do that's outside the city, we're going to fund with the urban renewal money. It has to be in our urban renewal area. And to do that, we have to have a consent account. As we talked about last month, if we're going to build a forest main, or even part of the street improvement project, even inside what might happen like the culvert, we need to get the right of way of 102nd. It's not in the city. And in Polk County, and 200 in Dallas County, in the urban renewal area, or we can't use TIF financing to fund that. And so, as a part of that whole process, because 102nd is partly in and partly out of the city, we approached Polk County and Public Works and said, this is what we're thinking about. No commitment, we're just thinking about there should be some improvements. What Polk County came back last week and said is, basically, if you were kind of tying it together, we'll approve you adding it to the urban renewal area, and you'll take over responsibility for the rest of the 102nd out to the county line. So we're going to be partially responsible out to the west edge of the Knolls of the River Creek is, there's another quarter mile going to the west. So they're essentially saying the price of doing that, of us consenting, is the city's got to take it over, the maintenance. Frankly, the county, they're not going to do a very good job of maintaining a quarter mile of road between the west edge of the city and the county line. So probably, and in the long term, if we're going to redo the interchange and put a leg south, at some point we're going to have to control 102nd. And to rely on the county to do anything is, at this point, I think is a pipe dream. Kirk can't even get her to respond. Can't even get the supervisor to agree to even talk. So I think it's safe to say we're not going to do anything. We're not
I think we heard tonight from Ed that they forgot to do that road for how long?
5 years, they didn't know they had the road. The guy retired and nobody did anything with it for 5 years.
I mean, it wasn't 2 years ago, the county said, we didn't realize that Granger was in Polk County.
They had our balance wrong.
So,
Every tax dollars.
my thought is that I don't think we should necessarily respond immediately. But I think eventually we need to plot a strategy. How do we get control of the road? Because eventually, I don't want to be in a situation where we get the interchange and now we can't do anything with this quarter mile of gravel because Polk County won't move on it. So, in my mind, I think we need to think about how do we control the road. We can leave it gravel, it just is under our control. So, my inclination is we need to look at some annexations, potentially public-private property owners. See whether they'd be willing to annex. Then we get to a certain point where it looks like we can get in enough property. My thought is to go back to the county and say, we'll take it over, but you give us the fee title and voluntarily annex the road. So that we're not sitting there controlling the road in the county. If we're going to control the road, I want it in the city. And if we can get a certain degree, a little bit, a couple more, one property owner, maybe, or two, would be willing to annex, we can then see what the county, tell the county, well, we're willing to take it over. But you have to give us a fee title and annex it. And we don't create an island. So there's still a strip on the north side of the curl around. So at this point, I want you to know that Polk County is not being only their property. But I didn't fall over when that happened. And so I think we're going to plot a strategy to see whether or not over the long term we can get there. If we have a strategy and we know exactly where we're going, we may change the amendment to the urban renewal plan in order to pull that out at this point in time, out of, again, Dallas, just home, and get that approved, because I can then come back, once I get my strategy implemented, if voluntarily annexed, I can add it to the plan. I've already certified whatever debt. As long as I get that amendment approved before I spend the money in that area, I'm okay. So my thought right now is that maybe we should pull back a little bit on the Polk County asking them to put it in the urban renewal area and see if we can come out with a strategy that benefits the city long-term to control that, because our goal is to get that interchange improved and as part of that we really need to control. I think we need to control 102nd because I don't think we can trust Polk County to be a partner in upgrading the road. I'd rather have it under control. If it's in the city, and I get some additional revenue out of, for example, out of development in the Olds of Beaver Creek, I can take that money and start moving toward improving the road going west. So I think long term, we're better to control the road, get it in the city, get it in the urban renewal area. So we need more of a time to get to the second meeting on the first, probably public hearing. But if you're okay with that, I'm gonna take Polk County's, upbeat message and see if we can turn it around and, work it to our long-term benefit. Is that, because I think long term, we need to get, I'm not so concerned about whether I get all the private property or the parcels along, but I just think that long term, we need to control the road. And eventually, we need to control the west as well, but at that point, we don't need to, that's not an issue right now. I think Dallas County will probably be willing to let us put it in as all it is, to enforce the roads, so we're not messing with the roads. If that's agreeable with the council, I'll use my previous mind to figure out what the best way to go forward is.
Discussions, questions, council? All right, sounds like you're good to go.
Taking out gross time, I was under an hour.
All right, we need to action to approve resolution 2025-30, right? This sets it for the council meeting, October 8th. Okay, got it.
The consultation meeting is, September 19th with Kirk. Kirk sits in the office and sees if anybody from the public entities come and ask questions.
So we have to put both of those in the motion?
Yeah.
You just have to read what's listed there. Yeah, consultation and public hearing.
Okay.
But do we have to put both dates?
The dates are in the resolution. It's filled out in the resolution.
Gotcha.
You can just read what's on the agenda.
Okay, I can do that. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve resolution 2025-30, setting dates, consultation, and public hearing on proposed amendment number 1 to the Southeast Urban Renewal Plan in the City of Granger, State of Iowa.
Okay, Scott,
Yep.
Schreiber, Arnold,
Yes.
yes.
That's all I have, somebody else has anything to do tonight.
No.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks.
All right, Kirk, you're
So
up.
I'm gonna be fast. Bob covered a lot of what we're covering. A couple other things. Bob and I will be meeting with Polk County and Grimes and Polk County, mainly Polk County Conservation and the city of Grimes, talking about the trail, talking about Brenton Slough, talking about connectivity between the community. For us, a few things have changed. As we're doing this study on 141, it sets us up to be a little bit more independent than perhaps what we were going to be in the past. Meaning if we redo that interchange and have access at the interchange, and if we do something further west at 102nd Street and 141, the unique part that we may or may not participate in is Brenton Slough will need to have some type of crossover to protect the animals. That's south of us, and I don't know that we need to participate in putting in a 100-yard bridge to protect the animals. So I'm just not saying that's going to happen, but that is in the scope of work. We're a little independent of that now because of the work we're doing on the interchange. Bob and I are committed to making sure that this project and looking at the Brenton Slough and the trail connectivity doesn't slow down what we're doing with the 141 interchange project. So our main focus is to get access from the interchange down to 102nd, and then we'll determine from there what's that connectivity look like going on in the Grimes. Any questions on that? Okay. Other items, we're working on annexation. We talked about the water tower is getting painted, getting the logo put up on it. We're excited, later on in the agenda is to hire a new replacement department director. We'll have to engage that position a little heavier in some community engagement, some marketing, getting further information out about all the projects and communicating better with the public. Any other questions?
Question, as you talk to your Ben, here's when we're gonna see a line item or discussion about getting our records from Yankton. I was expecting to see that on this agenda.
That was part of the financial report. We were counting what we can discuss it now.
Yeah. So I have actually talked to Forrest a couple days ago, and he said, asked if we'd put together a formal request of dates that we want. Is there from,
July of 1976.
anything?
We paid for it the whole time, so hand it over.
And just FYI, we have some outstanding invoices to them, so you want to make the payment of bills subject to getting firm dates to that delivery, then we can go that route.
I think, let's make the request and ask for an estimated timeframe for,
Yeah.
and see if we believe that what they propose is reasonable.
Yeah.
Then we can go from there, whether we need to hold back payment.
Yeah, that's all.
Give them a fair chance, put something like that together.
Okay. Yep.
That might be some microfiche position that we honestly, we need to pay for.
We might have to pay for something.
The only other item I have, which I'll,
If they can give us newer stuff faster and it's in phases, let's let them do that.
Yeah.
Let's not hold the entire release of records for
Yeah.
really old stuff.
that's fair. Okay. The other item, I'll cover public works, real quick. I talked with some of you about it, and I'm talking with Aaron. We're gonna put forth, effort to do some town cleanup, prior to winter getting here. So they're coming into town on 17, coming up State Street. There's some right-of-ways and others that we don't own, but they need to be cleaned up for presentation of the community. So we're gonna make an effort. We should be able to get all that done with our workforce, but if not, we may, talk to Aaron today, we may look at hiring some seasonal help. To get people in to weed, clean around the fences in Oxley Creek. We don't own the Harmeyer property, which is just east of Fairway. We did mow those 2 lots, just because Granger Days was coming and it was about 3 feet tall. The ditches and the right-of-ways need mowed now, and rather than it just being rough cut, I've asked that it be manicured. Now, several of you and I have talked about that. Also talked about lining the streets, looking if we get that done this year in the spring, but lining all the parking stalls, getting the grass out of Broadway and Main Street, just cleaning up the downtown. May end up hiring seasonal labor to help do that, but we're focused on that effort.
That reminded me, sort of related, a couple of weeks, I think, is the mosque grand opening.
Yeah.
Are they gonna still park over there behind Fairway? Is that,
They're,
okay,
that's a backup plan.
okay.
They lease what, 17 acres, 19 acres?
Yeah.
Just down the road from them. That's their primary plan. As long as the weather stays good, that's what they're doing.
As of now, they won't be, but that same weekend that is the home show, so we will have people parking in town for that, I think maybe that's.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely on the street there, we love to park on the street.
Same weekend as a wedding at Assumption.
And homecoming.
Yeah, so we, yeah.
WD homecoming.
So parking space.
Get your houses on stick out, Virgo while you can here,
Yeah.
make some money.
So far, they're not planning on working in town.
Okay, thank you. But it will be very busy that weekend. It's
Correct.
Right, a lot of kids.
141 will be.
Yeah, so if anybody knows anybody that's retired and wants to come out or weed or just be on call, I think there's gonna be a demand for it.
Yeah.
Anything else for Kirk? All right, Mid-American Franchise Agreement. It's our ordinance that we approved once through the 3 readings, and now we had to clean something up with it. So now we're on the 2nd reading again of the Mid-American Energy Ordinance.
And there's no downside to this. It doesn't cost any more to anyone. The city just gets 1%. Is that the summation?
That's the summation.
Yeah, I'm happy to make this then. Action to approve ordinance number 437, granting Mid-American Energy Company its successors and assigns the right and non-exclusive franchise to acquire, construct, erect, maintain, and operate in the city of Granger, Iowa, an electric system and communications facilities, and to furnish and sell electric energy to the city and its inhabitants, and authorizing the city to collect 1% of franchise fees for a period of 25 years, second reading.
Second.
Scott,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Anybody hear anything in the last 30 days or the first time we passed this ordinance? I know we committed to not waiving the readings, but
We've talked
this is
about
the second time this has been through. I mean, we've had it on the agenda for like 6 months. Has anybody heard anything?
How would you object anyway? I suppose. They don't want their money.
Yeah, it's giving us free money.
Is that rate comparable to other places?
Yeah, it's the same.
Other cities are charging higher percentage.
Yeah, some cities charge higher. I mean, they get the 1% back, but
Some, I've heard some cities go as high as 4%. So actually using it as a new revenue source, and we're not doing that.
No, Chris, no additional expense to anybody. The city just gets some of their profits, I suppose. So I look at it.
Yeah, instead of going to the American, it goes to the city, but it's the same money coming out.
I'm in favor of waiving the third.
Let's get it done and fixed.
I'll make a motion to waive the third reading on this Mid-American franchise agreement.
Second.
Jody got in. Jody got in. Call us.
Earl,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Kirk, any other public works updates other than what we talked about?
No, just a lot of projects going on in the streets and water and sewer and storm sewer.
Questions from the council, public works? Need to-
Did you get this road grandma?
What's that?
And the road grandma show off?
I haven't heard that as well. I can check on that. We should be seeing Reader's final plat coming in on the 40 acres on the southeast corner of the roundabout. And we are putting a marketing plan together with them. We're working with Dallas County Economic Development, going to be working with the Des Moines Partnership, and help be at the table so we're aware of what's being proposed in our community so we can have a say in what's coming.
On another issue, you may want to notice how I worded this. Ask the school to put up a sign that says that there's no delivery to the new school. There's a semi backing up and down Birch Street this morning with rafters on it for the school. So,
Yeah, they've been instructed numerous times to take 141 around to that north entrance.
wait on it. Yeah, $600.
All right, let's go to police reports.
As you guys probably heard, there's an incident after school today, blowing up on Facebook. We located a guy, suspicious activity. He wasn't breaking the law. It did scare a lot of the kids, understandably. He was swinging hammers around.
Where was I?
Right across the street. He wasn't around kids, didn't make any contact with the kids. It's a fitness routine that he does. And he was here last week as well. He does it every day at this time. It's just Wednesday, they have the early out. So it's the same time as the kids get out. Parents are very concerned, especially with everything that's happened today.
He does it by the school?
Right out here, right across the street. Out the yellow tennis between here and the ball field. And the cell phone poles, I guess. I didn't see a video. It didn't seem too. It wasn't going like this. He was actually doing like a workout routine. We made contact with him.
Strange, but not easy.
Very odd and strange. And he had his shirt off, which made it more unusual, but it was almost 90 degrees.
I like what you put out there, the response.
Yeah, we put a press release out.
Appreciate it.
And I understand the kids being scared and very.
Yep.
We're gonna be on that trail for the next couple of weeks, one of these days.
Thank you.
let's go to fire and EMS.
Alright, so we had 25 calls for the month. I'll let Chief Turner go further into that. I'm done, but, we continue to have great response with our members. We're averaging probably 6 to 10 members on calls, so, we're rolling a community vehicle, fire truck, and ambulance to most calls, so that's great to see. We've been very involved in the community the last month. Farmers market, Liver Green football games, water fights here in town, Ranger Days. A couple of our guys went up to Madrid, did their water fights as well. This month for training, we did seizures, went over our protocol on that, talked about just what we do with seizures, went over different types of scenarios, stuff like that. Also, the fire service training drill dropped off their forcible entry trailer, so we were able to use that and do real life scenarios with that, which was nice. The mosque is coming up, so 26th through the 28th, we'll be out there covering for fire and EMS. The city will be provided coverage during that time as well, but so we've got coverage for both the event and the city during those dates. We've got 11 members in training right now. 6 of them are firefighter 1, 3 EMR, and 3 EMT. So by the end of this year, we'll be in really, really good shape. So super proud of all those guys and gals going to those classes. We've also looked into a couple grants. So over the next month, we're going to be applying for the Firehouse Subs grant. Not quite sure what we're going to go for, but we'll bring that to the October council meeting. Same with the Walmart Foundation grant as well. We're also looking into grants on how we can get some money for that station. So I'd like to discuss that and continue discussions on that. And then as council, it's not on the agenda, but October 7th, we want to do a fire prevention event at our station. So we'd ask close down in front of Main Street and in front of the station from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. So just need to record it.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
What's the date again?
October 7th. So we'll do open house, maybe go some food for the community, all that. So, any questions?
I was going to go over some of the EMS reports. We had 25 calls. Every call had somebody that responded. We only had one call that did not have an EMT. So 24 out of 25 is what I found was amazing response. Only one, we had 3 of our 25 calls were the nursing home. So most of them are in the community. Like Tyler said here, we have so many people that are responding to all of our calls, taking multiple vehicles out. It's been great, the response that we had. Appreciate all of our paid on call members, our part-time members. Training's going well. Recently, we found another topic with the grants. Right on to that, we have applied for a Dallas County opioid settlement grant to get a new light pack for our ambulance and some AEDs for our community. So hopefully we'll hear by the end of December whether or not we get any of that. A light pack itself is about $60,000. So we also have a member that's currently enrolled in an ELS class, an instructor class, so she can help teach the community ELS, basic life support, hopefully into the nursing home and possibly into the schools. So that's all I have to add.
Thank you, guys.
And I do think that at some point we get on the agenda, officially public safety building, next steps, plans, as we're wrapping up a couple of projects that took precedence, which it was on the books, we got to approve those things. But then water tower and Sycamore happened, obviously, understandably. But I do think we should, not sure what those next steps are, but I standard approach we could take to relieve some of the space issues, a lot of renting storage space, we're renting a trailer, those kinds of things. So I think we should formally get that on the agenda to discuss.
I'm fine with that. We can fill you in on some of the work Kirk and I have been doing over the past couple of months and people we talked to and estimates and some of the other options. But I think you're right. Once these projects clean up and we know what our dollar exposure is going to be, particularly with the Knolls, we can see what's left, what's our debt payment, what can we pay with TIF, how much can we afford without raising taxes. I mean, that was the big thing we passed the vote, right, was we wanted to build something without raising your taxes.
Yeah.
So conceivably, could we still build it, a $3 million building? We could. Your taxes would go way up, right? That's not what we promised. We want to do it in a responsible way. So, yeah, I'm all for that.
And we, just to, sorry, go ahead, Terry.
I was just saying, the story that this table tells for this year, with staff calls, it's just borderline miracle across.
Yeah, so look, missed calls this year, January 18, February 8 of 26, March, April, May, some reporting difficulties, we'll leave it at that. June, July, August, one missed call every month. That's it. So the important thing we want to do is respond to calls. That's what we said all along. We're responding to more calls, the teamwork's great, the communication's great, cooperation's great, so thank you guys, appreciate it. Numbers don't lie.
Definitely the members are doing the hard part. Thank you.
I came up to sign checks, a handful of checks, I think it was a Thursday night, 7 o'clock, ambulance, there was a call, 7 at night, the ambulance was running, you two were there running, and then by the time I came out, I saw a couple other people coming and responding, so 6 people I saw answering a call 7 o'clock on a Thursday night. So thanks for what you guys are doing. You're making a huge impact. All right, we got some motions on here. So Destiny Rommel, resignation, need a motion on that?
Okay, make a motion to approve resignation of Destiny Rommel effective immediately. Yep.
Trent.
Yes.
Bermal. Johnson.
Yes.
All right, Carson Clark, hourly rate to go for this is the standard hourly rate for EMT, I think, right?
Yeah, he
Okay.
passes.
Do we need a motion for that, or if that's in the bylaws, isn't that just a done deal then? If someone gets a certification, they're classified in our bylaws?
He's already an employee, it's hired on. Yeah.
Okay, so no motion needed for B? All right, so C, we gotta just approve the grant, application submission that was put in.
Okay, make a motion to approve submission of Dallas County opioid settlement funding grant as approved by staff. Do I need to continue on?
Second.
Thank you.
Son.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
All right, amended pay scale, what's this?
So this, when we first initially merged, we paid POC one rate, paid part-time another rate. It's a nightmare with payroll, and it's not fair. So pay scale is the same all across the board. Those members are getting paid the same as the part-time when they respond.
Which actually lowers it a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna save money.
And this process was ran through Ben to make sure we're doing everything fair and equitable. And this makes it more fair and equitable for everybody across the board. And it's less money on the city.
And POC is paid on call versus, so it's paid on, they're not at the station, part-time, are there? So the hard part is, I guess, when you're paying hourly, be there, and then you have a training in the evening, what do you pay? Paid on call or part-time, it just cleans it up. So do I need a motion to that?
Good? Yep. Make a motion to approve the amended pay scale.
Second.
Trent.
Yes.
Son.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
All right, pressure washer?
Yeah, so we had an in-house one installed. Right, it's been there for years. We removed it, had a hot seat that was paid for by the city. that was installed. And so we removed the old device. It's now just sitting in a warehouse or in our garage, so we need to remove it.
Motion to,
He didn't want to.
No, it's pretty dated. I think we'll just take bids on. So,
make a motion to approve the sale of the low pressure washer. Yes.
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 Great for your guys' garage.
It's gonna cost us more to bid it out. All right, Parks and Rec. Kirk, you want to take this first one?
yeah, so we had 10 or over applicants that we interviewed for Park and Rec Director. We had a wonderful, hard decision to make for us and the board. We had a lot of really good candidates, had a lot of really good interviews. Came down to making a recommendation of hiring Alicia Van Drebla. And I want to present that to you tonight. Kyle, if anything you want to, Kyle is the chair of the Park and Rec Board, and I think they're ready to have the position.
So, like Kirk said, we had a lot of great applicants, a lot of really good interviews. I was able to sit on half, maybe. And you were there for some. I know Angela was there for some. Yeah. So, and I think it's pretty fair to say that Alicia was our top, the board's, yours and mine's top candidate. I think that with the strength of the people we got, the extra stuff we can do with her is going to be really exciting. So definitely full recommendation for me. In terms of salary, I know it's a little more than our past one was paying. Like I said, there's other stuff that Kirk and I can and we'll try to add to her plate once she gets up and running. We haven't had 2 months worth of salary in the budget, right? So that's adjustable up a little ways too. The other thing I would say, and this part of Kirk's too, really, and why I didn't bring anything up in his discussion was our fiscal year budget ending 6/30, we were 63,000 ahead of what we budgeted. So, the way I look at it is if we spend, 20 to 25 on Kirk and another 10 or so on this position for the next couple of years, that's investing in people, great people that we want to keep here, want to be here. That would really impact to present or future budgets. So that's kind of
So the difference will come off of lost, hopefully. We should be able to pick up 20 or 25 grand off of lost.
Yeah. Good, potentially.
I will say, one of the things that we had discussion on, and anyone wants to put that in a motion, several of you talked to me about putting in the field usage agreement to get signed off on within X amount of days of this position being filled.
I'd keep that in-house with you.
All right.
Well, we've been asking and talking about it for how long? We've talked about it. It's always a repetitive
But
issue.
when she gets enrolled though, when she comes to meetings, we can talk about that, right?
And if she doesn't do it in 90 days, there's the door.
Yeah.
That's an expectation. Under our saddle this whole time, and I'm tired of it.
Give her a fair shake.
All right.
That's really something Kirk and I can work out with the board and get that squared away. Alicia shouldn't have to deal with that. That should have been done already, so.
And I think we have examples of it already, correct? Several. All right. I'll work with her on that.
It's an expectation.
If you need me, I'm here, glad to be part of it.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion, questions? All right, that's Kirk and I's recommendation and the board's.
Alright. Make a motion to approve the hiring of Alicia Dribblin, effective 2 weeks from today at an hourly rate of $28.85 with 2 weeks of vacation.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Make a motion to approve resignation of Joshua Snell from the Parks and Recreation Board, term ends December 31, 2027. Yes.
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 Need people on the Parks Board, now we got 2 spots, right? 2 spots on the Parks Board, 1 on Board of Adjustment. If you don't know what Board of Adjustment is, we can talk to you about that. But if you know anyone that wants to be on the Parks Board, 2 opportunities, some real cool things are gonna be happening in that space. Yes.
Make a motion to approve the hiring of Carrie James as cleaning person effective September 11th, 2025 at an hourly rate of $15.
Second, that's tomorrow.
Yes.
Sock.
Yes.
Normal.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
And I'm assuming the background check.
Your shot.
All right. Good. All right, Ben, this is your item.
Yeah, so it's in the packet, because the city doesn't have a formal form or policy for this, but you can see a complaint was lodged regarding the mayor and Councilmember Shryock's actions. And so the kind of default standard is then that the city administrator and myself ask for statements from the 2 complaint against, and reviewed those, and Kirk and I decided that we would find the claim we would recommend the claim be found unfounded and no further action, but it's up to the council if we want to either make no action or make a motion.
You want to make a statement on that?
Yeah.
All right, so in the packet, I encourage you to look at the packet. In the packet, there's a comment made. I'm not going to go over the comment, but I will say there was 2 things in the comment. The first one talked about my official email being a private Gmail address. That's a great way to avoid oversight, scrutiny, or FOIA requests. So first of all, completely wrong. Okay? You can Google that in 5 seconds and realize that's not true. The second thing I would say about it is when I became the mayor, I talked to the city attorney about that and asked him point blank and got documentation from Ralph. Can I use my Gmail address as my mayor address? And he said, of course you can. You just got to, if there's a freedom of information request or there's litigation, you've got to turn over your emails. Totally fine. So again, that comment, completely wrong, right? Now the second part of the comment, even more belial, I won't say it, but it involved death of family members, right? And you guys might be aware of what happened today. A political guy was shot and killed at a university today. So this stuff's not funny, it's not appropriate, it's not acceptable in our community. So that's all I have to say on it. And that's it. I'll move on. So then what's the protocol the council have to do? Make a motion or
If
some
there's
action?
if there's a motion to take some action, they can make it. If not, there's no action required.
Council?
Well, yeah, okay, so the claim is what? That, she singled out retaliatory comments, unprofessional. And then you've got Garrett's motion here as well, right?
Yeah, my response is page 122 through 124 of the packet. Here's page 127 of the packet. Available online to review.
And I will acknowledge that, you know, that the statement talks about, you know, the death, a fire at a house and health was dying, wasn't directly stated, but it was like, whether it was meant to or not. You know, I do want to echo that. I think we all agree. But that's not appropriate. We know that. I think everybody does agree with that, right? So I don't think that'll happen anymore. Just for me, reading through Jared's, the social media piece is hard on all accounts because things get taken out of context. It's just so hard. I wish all the communication. I mean, social media is good to get information out. I'll admit that. I agree. But when it gets into the detailed accusations, misrepresentation, assigning blame, or intent of people, that's where I think it gets super dangerous. And it takes a ton of courage to say stuff here publicly, but I think it is the best way to do it, and it is on record, which is great. So I think the response that Garrett gave was in response to what was said on social media. So I haven't responded to anything on social media because it does have a way of being misrepresented, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. I think it was an appropriate response. There was some emotion involved. Maybe not everything I would say the same way.
But was the original poster, did that person say that person's name that they were talking about? No.
No, I agree with that.
So,
no, I understand
so
what you're
when
saying.
they retaliated by coming back and mentioning such and such a person's name, when that person originally didn't, that's retaliatory.
It's
Because you publicly
875
said
some
her
words
name.
further down from addressing Jennifer's, what she brought to
Yeah, I don't think
about misspeaking the city.
I know what you're saying. I get that.
But you pinpointed her name, and she didn't pinpoint yours in any of the conversations on Facebook. She didn't say, who was staring at her, who was saying this, or who was saying that.
And that was on my personal.
It was on her personal page, so, and she never said Jared Shyrock, or Mayor Tony James, or Burnwell, or Danielson, or anything in any of her posts. So-
therein lies the problem. To me, it's like it was a
You
response to that. They understand
But it
what you're
shouldn't
saying.
have been her name in there.
I understand that.
So,
Be transparent.
so,
Well,
Be transparent.
But you also,
Honest.
just to be fair, and again, I'm trying to be very balanced in this, and I feel like I have been. You know, I feel like we could have a conversation, and I'm fine, it's great, we don't agree on everything, but we're fine. There was a lot of things, there has been a lot of things that are, and yes, you might not have listed by name, but you're posting them even on your own page on things that from your perspective, that's how you feel. But it does create division, it has been equally, in my opinion, divisive. And just because the intent isn't that, the way it's done, it does end up being that way. So I don't think anything that was done, in my personal opinion, what I read through, maybe things could have been handled differently, for sure.
especially from a public official.
Well,
And I think from all officials, I think from everyone involved.
totally.
The city,
I mean-
us, everybody involved.
Totally. We
Could
learned
have handled
this
it
stuff.
differently.
The hard part for me is that there's this underlying, like, it feels like an attempt to create distrust and disunity in our city. And that's not, I understand, no, I don't post that online, that's why I'm saying it public.
There's multiple posts out there that talk about rabbit holes and backroom deals and handshake stuff.
But are they on her personal page?
Did she say them? Let's just cut to the chase.
I'm just asking though,
No,
are they
no.
on her personal?
No, I'm not talking about her individually. I'm saying out there
Yeah.
lately, there has been posts about backroom deals and this and that and shady stuff and these terms that you
How do you know? Because you
Say-
don't have social media. and you don't want
people send these screenshots all the time.
The point is, it's gotten to the point where I think it isn't healthy. And unfortunately, we're here having to talk about it. Social media is there, and it's going to be there. It's going to be a tool that we use. Hopefully, we try to give people the benefit of the doubt, all those kinds of things. To me, overall, just my summary is I don't think all of those things have been helpful. They can be helpful to shed light if there is some kind of something going on. But the implication, if people would just want to know and come talk to any one of us, we had 3 attorneys on here. I mean, all of us are fathers and husbands and all those things that there's no backroom deals, there's none of this garbage, all the implications that what you're going to find is you're going to find people won't want to serve on these types of boards because of that kind of stuff. Now, if there is an appropriate that's why there are laws in place, that's why there are FOIA, that's why all these things.
About the FOIA request, $50 an hour for information.
We don't set, but Jen, that's not us.
Where does that come from?
That's in the court, that's in the statute.
In what
It's been passed, but IPIB and it's been passed by the ordinance.
Yeah, but that's the implication is, we're trying to hide information. It's like, hold up, there's nobody, we didn't sit down and say, hey, let's make this $50 so people have a harder time getting information. We don't do that.
Isn't it a state statutory or the city statute?
It's in the city ordinance, which is based off of different various rulings from the Iowa Public Information Board and other places of what's reasonable. It could be a range of any number of things, but that's what the city, whenever they passed the ordinance, the council at that time decided their employees' time was worth to respond to these items.
So that's normal and customary. So again, we didn't say, because of this, let's set some fee. You know, we didn't even know that. If you'd asked me before this came up, is there a fee for that? I have no idea. We didn't set that. There's nothing, I mean, somebody did at one point, clearly. But again, it's those kind of things. It's like the implications. That's my whole thing out of this is there's been a lot of mistruth or just, I don't even know about the motive question of people. And it's like, I don't think that's healthy. And I don't think it's best for Granger. I do think healthy accountability. We're accountable to the people who voted for us. All of us were voted in by people that trusted us. So by even saying things like, that's a good old boys club. Like, because we got voted in, whose fault is that? Who voted for us?
Well.
Okay, well, that's a genuine question that we were asked or had a desire to serve our community. So people then decided to vote us into these spots. We didn't vote each other in, or we didn't vote ourselves in. Again, it's disingenuous to the people that even put us in this position. So, all that to say, if we could just have more honest dialogue, even in person, and I know any one of us is more than willing to just meet and talk. Like, I have no misgivings towards you at all. I think that your intent is probably here in what you perceive. I don't agree with all of it clearly, or the methods, but I don't think you're a bad person. So, but I don't know that I feel the same way. I don't think you feel like a bad person, but I feel like the way things are communicated, that's the implication, that these guys are out for some power thing or trying to manipulate something, or even we're knocking on people's doors, forcing them to do annexations, which is stuff like that. There's zero truth to it. There's just none. So I think if you take a moment, anybody here and anybody that's watching, take a moment if you have those questions, doubts, or you hear those things, set up a meeting. Like, have you ever set up a meeting to sit down and talk with Kirk and ask him some of these things? Just, he's a city employee, go ask, talk, go to lunch.
I saw in this that, some responses, you don't get a response or a vague response. In 8 years, I've never not responded to an email or text or phone call. No, I'm happy to do it. We did have an issue, which again, I thank you for this. When I was sent, my city email was sent, there was some issue with the system, I wasn't getting them. So that's legitimate. That was a great thing that somebody identified. Cool. And then we fixed it, I believe, hopefully, right? So, yes, sir.
Just kind of as a third party to some of this. What I saw, the main issue was with the singling out of a citizen not on the board. That's kind of an issue where somebody in power is singling out somebody else in the meeting. And right or wrong, it's not generally a professional meeting. But I think it was explained that the comment was liked without seeing the full comment and blah, blah, blah. It's kind of neither here nor there. I think the problem with the comment about it being damaging to Granger or something like that is what I have seen a lot in places that I've worked and stuff like that is this toxic positivity where you can't say anything negative or bring up issues without being accused of, I don't know, trying to sow division or anything like that. So not all criticism is bad. That needs to happen, that needs to be there. And when I come to a city council meeting and hear all of a sudden that, well, the land for the water tower was, magically donated by the developer. That kind of, raises some eyebrows as to.
Then ask more questions. 'cause
Yeah,
that was brilliant.
And that's totally fair, and
That's the point though, I agree, when that happens, just like I would do, ask, well, how did that happen?
Yep.
And then you find out, again, there's 3 attorneys in the room, we're not, I mean, seriously, everything's public.
Everything goes, there's no such thing as backroom deal in the city, right? And it's on an agenda, the agenda's posted, the council votes on it, I can't sign a contract, or can't sign a contract without council approval, we're audited every year by the state, all that stuff.
And I know that, and I'm not saying there are background, I'm not trying to imply that. I'm just saying as somebody from the outside, when I come in and hear something like that, that raises questions. Obviously, I'm going to look into it and ask questions about it if I have that. But just people asking questions like that, nobody's going to ask questions in the perfect way. It's going to happen.
We have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And we have over the years, and I think that we encourage. But lack of information shouldn't lead to negative intentions. Just because you don't have information isn't an excuse to immediately go to it's a negative intent.
I agree.
I think that's what's frustrating for me is, I can just speak for me personally. I've worked my ass off thousands of hours for the last 8 years for this city to help it grow and to do the right thing and to hire great people. And it's like with this EMS incident 4 months ago or 5 months ago, now I've lost all my credibility, and now I'm everything I do is I'm trying to stick a knife in the city for some reason. And I think if you look at what this team has done in the last 90 days, that decision was correct, right? So why is everyone still upset, right? So let's talk through that. That's fine. That's fair.
I think that I've been on the other side of that, where I have the answers, and it seems very, very obvious to me when somebody asks a question. I'm like, why the hell would you ask that question? It's dumb. Like, this should be very obvious. I would caution all of you to realize that the citizens in the general community, it's been great that you guys have started posting like the full packet and stuff like that. That's very helpful to be able to actually see all that information there. But that's a fairly recent thing, and not that
but based on feedback, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the feedback that the city got, or I personally got in the public forum, was very negative. And that's all right, people get stuff off their chest. But I hope that people see that I was able to take that and say, okay, here are the changes we're actually making. I can take all the negative feedback and still make changes and still move forward.
If I can add to kind of based on what you both were saying, I think that part of the issue is that people are having questions, and instead of going to the people who we know have the answers, are putting it out on social media, which not saying that it's the intention, but it does plant a seed of like distrust and and then there's a lot of people that don't have information that are coming to answer the questions instead of the people that do have the answers.
I think it's perfectly said.
And so then, and a lot of people, unfortunately, and it shouldn't be this way, but a lot of people get their facts from what they see on Facebook, even if they don't know that the person is a credible source. So I think like what I would like to see is somebody coming on and saying, hey, I went to the city council meeting and I had this concern, and so I asked Kirk, or I asked Mayor Tony, or I asked a city council member, and this is the answer that they gave, because I feel like that's just a better way to give communication to our community instead of making the community question everything that the city council is doing and just kind of leading everybody into this spiral.
Totally agree, and happy to do it, and that's completely fair. If I don't answer something and somebody goes on Facebook and then says, you know what, I asked him, he didn't answer, or this is what he said.
Legally, you don't have to during a meeting. If somebody asks a question, you don't have to respond to anyone.
But that's kind of a great point, because we always do. This shouldn't be like normal Robert's rules. Isn't that anybody out there that like is a part of this?
I think it's, some of this stems from in the beginning when you in that meeting publicly said her name, like he said, you shouldn't have done, it was unprofessional, and you didn't actually apologize to her. How hard is it to apologize for somebody for calling them out when, you know, I think that's what started this whole, let's research, let's look at what's going on behind the scenes, what is each person doing, because there was some shady stuff that has come up, per se, that has been researched or, you know, and it is lack of communication.
But
There's a lot of lack of communication throughout the transparency. It's not just your guys' side.
Again,
it's the community side.
those are buzzwords. If you've got some specific examples, by all means, email me, text me, put in a request. I'm glad to handle any specific questions you have with transparency or shady stuff or what have you. Glad to do it.
I went on a call with somebody and they filled me full of misinformation and it fired me up where I went home and complained to her for 30 minutes. And she told me, quit complaining, call Kirk and set up a meeting. So I did. I called Kirk. I'm like, I want to see numbers. I want to see why this is happening and why. And I told him that the whole story. He's like, when do you want to come? I can print everything off. He printed everything off. We sat down for an hour and we went over all the finances. We looked at every single city, what they paid their people per call, what they paid their on call, all that. Granger was one of the highest paid in the surrounding areas.
And I really tried to do this. I had a lot of information at the public forum, but I realized that it was a mistake because everyone was just waiting to rip me to shreds, right? So the first hour where I'm giving all the information, the budget information, and look at what all the good things we've done, it went right over people's heads because they were ready to fire, right? And so I hope when we cover a lot of this information again next week at the public forum, we can kind of say, okay, the EMS stuff is behind us. That decision's been made. We've moved on. We're better because of it. Now let's talk about what people have questions about. And if you have questions, submit them. I'll answer them. If I can't, I'll get an answer. And let's talk about the other stuff that's going on. Glad to do it.
I would caution, and you said shady stuff. And I get it. I do that stuff sometimes too, saying that. But that, again, kind of stirs that doubt. And I don't know, like you said, I mean, like what happened today. I mean, some politician guy, right, that I know really well, somebody killed him because of this kind of, and I'm not making a direct correlation, so don't misunderstand me. However, the person that did that felt justified because of how they felt, right? So, no, let me finish. So feelings or just the rhetoric isn't helpful. We'll deal with facts. If something's done wrong, I'll be the first to admit it and we'll deal with it. Whoever's responsible, we'll deal with it. But when you say the shady stuff, like I'm not aware, and I'm on this council, on this board, I'm not aware of one shady thing that's happened.
Well, and I'm not saying shady as, I'm just saying.
Well, what else does shady mean though?
But,
You know what I mean?
but I'm not a freaking lawyer and I'm not an attorney and I didn't go to school to,
I'm not either,
to tell you
but
what
here's my
shady
point,
means.
and I don't want to get like, no, listen.
So that's where the lack of communication is.
No, that's no lack-
And I don't speak English
No.
language how you want.
It would be
No.
something done out in the light.
That's a negative, that's a negative connotation. That's the kind of stuff where if there's issues, let's deal with those. And I'm all in with you to deal with them. But nobody goes, well, that was a shady deal and think that's the best deal I ever got. It's a negative connotation, right? That's all I'm saying. Like, let's do better, let's communicate better. And if you don't have the courage to say it here, as hard as this, don't do it online.
But I think part of it is like the shady stuff that people are talking about is, I've been in 3 council meetings. This is my 3rd one actually. And this is the first one that I've seen where you guys have went off of this and you actually discussed everything. You didn't just say, oh, action to approve partial payment. You asked each other
We do
questions.
this, that, right there, I'm over 7 years
The last ones I went
now.
to,
Everything
you
we've done has been just
you
like
just
you
went
did.
to approve. You weren't at one of the ones I was at before. But it was just you read through it, approve it, and you're like, what
I
do
was
you
there
do?
to the one you weren't at, and they did.
Okay,
Yeah.
anyway,
I'm just saying, that's where they're.
I don't know that we're
shady
making
stuff
any
is
progress in
coming
this, I guess, as far as what we talked about. I don't have any issues.
Rob, can we let them know?
Yeah, sorry.
I have a question to ask you guys. All 5 of you that sit on the board, do any of you get up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, how can I do something better and the street right here? This has got to stop.
I think that's the fundamental thing. I mean, everybody's dancing around it, but it's not, it's oh, sorry.
I know this started with EMS and fire, and I'm very sorry that things happened the way they did, but we need to move on. That means all 5 of you, that means everybody in this room, that means Jennifer, that means Rita Stone, that means Nancy Roll. We've got to move on. It's not productive, it doesn't do anything for our community. And we need to come together as a community and start building it up, not tearing it down. Thank you.
Well said, yep.
Thanks, Rita.
Can I ask that, can you explain the comment about you're afraid about what I would do further in your response that was in the packet? It kind of insinuates that I would be a danger to somebody.
Well, and again, I think you guys just got mad at us for insinuating your language, right? So I don't think we should get mad at each other for insinuating.
That's why I'm asking here, in front of everybody, for you to explain how I.
Oh, you were talking about the comment I read in the council meeting, and about me making misleading and retaliating comments in response to your advocacy. And if I said if liking comments like that is advocacy, I don't know what other things you think are advocacy. I don't know. That's what I meant by that comment. I didn't consider that comment to be advocating for open, honest dialogue in a city.
Well, I think my speech that my thing that I spoke to at the open meeting, I think that explained the whole scenario. So I guess I thought that everybody understood that I knew that that was not a great comment to like. We had gotten past that.
Gotcha.
But then
I didn't hear that statement, so that's on me.
you didn't hear the statement.
When you made your statement, I didn't hear that statement as I shouldn't have liked that post. So if that was your intention, I totally accept that.
So you can either make no motion, make a motion to find the complaint unfounded, or make a motion to censor the mayor or council member, and Councilmember Shryock should abstain. If there's a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation of the city attorney.
Second.
Nelson.
Yes.
Yes.
Sonic.
Yes.
Brown.
Abstain.
All right, finance committee report.
Alright. Tony helped out tonight with this. We checked out all the invoices, purchase orders, claims list, fill log payments, checked out the delinquent list, all the bank statements, budget reports, time sheets. And the only thing that we brought up, or Tony brought up, was the B&K discussion regarding all of our documents. Other than that, everything was good.
We covered that, so.
Motion to approve finance committee report.
Second.
Sonic.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Motion to close the payment.
Second.
Sonic.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right, mayor report. All right, so, first thing I want to say, again, thank you, Rita. You said it great. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to work together.
keep making Granger better, and I'm committed to doing that. So, anyone, I don't want to discourage anyone from running for office. We need people to volunteer. Like I mentioned, there's 4 positions available. If you have questions, concerns, please reach out and volunteer. We need good people in the community. All right. PDI, so we had a GDA meeting, Economic Development Association quarterly meeting last week. Kirk and I talked about it a little bit, but Kirk joined the Dallas County Executive Board for Development Alliance. Pretty big deal considering that when I became the mayor, the city left Dallas County Development Alliance because we weren't getting any attention. And now we're a member of the executive board of the Dallas County Development Alliance. That says a lot about the progress we've made. So we're going to sit with the Des Moines partnership. We're going to sit with some of our utility partners in Dallas County and talk about a little bit about what we do next now that we've got our land use plan, now that we've got some infrastructure in place, now that we know some of the things that are happening from an economic development standpoint. So big things coming there. Professional Developers of Iowa, our Economic Development Association pays for that nonprofit to be a member of the Professional Developers of Iowa. They have an annual conference. We'll be taking a couple of days off work next week, for the week of the 20th, to go to that. It's in Ankeny, 2-day conference. Next Tuesday, 10 Squared Men Granger nonprofit meeting. Next Wednesday, community forum. Wednesday, 6 o'clock here, community forum. The topic that I was going to discuss is financing, debt service, our levy. Try to talk through that a little bit and just kind of educate people and answer questions if they have any in terms of budgets and where the money comes from and how do we pay for stuff. If you have questions, submit them. Go to City Hall, send me an email, send me a text, send Kirk a text, email. I'll answer every question. If I don't know the answer, I'll get an answer. I have a lot of stuff to cover from the previous community forum that I'll follow up if it needs following up on. So that's next Wednesday. I think that's all I've got. Questions for me? All right, Christy, Kirk, any correspondence? All right, adjourned.